Something is going wrong in Iceland, and it's not slowing down. The ground is cracking open. Thousands of earthquakes are striking in rapid succession, and in multiple locations, the earth itself is tearing apart, unleashing rivers of lava that glow like fire from another world. But here's what makes this truly terrifying. Scientists believe this isn't just a temporary disaster. What's happening right now could continue, not for days, not for months, but for centuries. And if that's true, then Iceland isn't just experiencing volcanic activity, it's entering a completely new geological era, one that last happened when Vikings walked these lands over 1,000 years ago. Back then, entire regions were reshaped by fire. Today, the stakes are much higher because modern cities, critical infrastructure, and entire communities now sit directly in the path of something that cannot be stopped. The question is no longer why is Iceland erupting? The real question is, can a modern society survive a cycle of destruction that could last up to 400 years? To understand what's happening, you have to look beneath the surface, far beneath it, because Iceland isn't just another country with volcanoes. It sits directly on top of one of the most unstable places on Earth, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This is where two massive tectonic plates, the North American and Eurasian plates, are slowly pulling apart. Not violently, not suddenly, but constantly, about 2 centimeters every year. That might sound small, but over time it adds up. The Earth's crust stretches, weakens, and eventually breaks. And when it does, something rises to fill the gap. Magma, superheated rock from deep inside the planet. It forces its way upward through cracks, building pressure silently for years, sometimes centuries, until one day the surface gives way. And when it does, the results are explosive. But Iceland has something even more dangerous beneath it, because right under this already unstable plate boundary lies a second force, a deep plume of heat rising from the Earth's mantle known as a hotspot. Think of it like a blowtorch aimed directly at the underside of the planet's crust. On their own, both of these forces are powerful. Together, they turn Iceland into something else entirely, a geological pressure cooker that has been building energy for millions of years. This rare combination is the reason Iceland produces more volcanic material than almost anywhere else on Earth. It's why new land is constantly being created, and it's why this island, unlike most of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, actually rises above the ocean's surface. But here's where things start to get unsettling. Iceland is young. In geological terms, incredibly young. Some parts of the island are only a few million years old, and others are even younger. In fact, in the 1960s, an entirely new island, Surtsey, suddenly appeared out of the ocean after an eruption. Land born in real time. That might sound fascinating, and it is, but it also reveals something dangerous. This is not a stable place. This is a land still being formed, and land that is still forming is unpredictable. Across Iceland, there are around 30 active volcanic systems. Some are massive central volcanoes. Others are long cracks in the earth, known as fissures, hidden fractures that can open without warning. And when they do, lava doesn't just erupt from a single point. It can rip across the ground in long, glowing lines, stretching for kilometers. This isn't just volcanic activity. This is the planet actively reshaping itself. And for thousands of years, this process has followed a pattern, a cycle. In late 2019, that cycle began again. At first, the signs were subtle, small earthquakes, barely noticeable, but then they multiplied. Hundreds became thousands, thousands became tens of thousands. In just a few weeks, over 40,000 earthquakes shook parts of Iceland. This wasn't random, it was a warning. Deep underground, magma was moving, forcing its way through the crust, creating fractures, building pressure. And then, in 2021, the surface finally broke. A fissure opened, lava surged into the air, glowing, violent, unstoppable. For the first time in 800 years, this region had awakened. And it didn't stop. Eruptions followed again in 2022 and again in 2023, each one shifting location slightly, creeping closer to populated areas. Then came the moment that changed everything. In November 2023, a town had to be evacuated, not because lava had already destroyed it, but because scientists knew what was coming. Beneath the town, magma was moving. Days later, the ground split open, buildings cracked, infrastructure failed, and just like that, an entire community was lost. But this isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning. Because when scientists looked deeper, combining satellite data, geological records, and even ancient Viking texts, they found something chilling. This has all happened before. Around 800 years ago, Iceland entered a similar eruptive phase known as the Reykjanes fires. For decades, the land burned. Lava flows spread across the region. Communities struggled to survive. And eventually the cycle ended, only to reset and begin again centuries later. And now it's happening again. The terrifying part is, these cycles don't last years, they last centuries. Estimates suggest this new phase could continue for 200, maybe even 400 years. That means what we're seeing today isn't a disaster, it's a preview. So how do you fight something like that? You don't. But Iceland is trying anyway. Using advanced satellite systems, GPS measurements, and real-time seismic data, scientists can now track magma movement beneath the surface. They can see the ground rising as pressure builds. They can map where the next eruption might occur. And with that information, engineers are doing something never attempted before, trying to control lava itself. Barriers are being built, massive walls of earth and rock designed not to stop lava, but to redirect it, to slow it down, to protect critical infrastructure, power plants, roads, entire towns. It's a race against something that doesn't think, doesn't stop, and doesn't care. And so far, it's working. Barely. But there's a limit. Because if a fissure opens directly beneath a town, no wall can save it. This is the reality Iceland now faces. Not a single eruption, not a temporary crisis, but a long-term battle between human engineering and the raw power of the earth itself. A battle that could last generations. And somewhere beneath the surface right now, the pressure is still building. Because Iceland isn't just on fire, it's waking up.